Okay, today I'm gonna study the facial nerve and I'm gonna take you with me through this. Okay, try to memorize this together. Okay, so it's the seventh cranial nerve and it's a motor nerve. Okay, so it originates between the junction between the pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, so here it originates between the pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, and then it exits the posterior cranial fossa through the internal auditory meatus. So if it was the question which foramen or where the facial nerve leaves or exit the posterior cranial fossa, so it will be the internal auditory meatus. But it exits the skull through the stylomastoid foramen. So if the question was where the facial nerve exits the skull, it's through the stylomastoid foramen. Okay. So after it exits the skull, the first branch, it will give posterior auricular nerve. It's a nerve it goes like this. Imagine here is the ear, okay, and it goes like this, okay. So the posterior auricular nerve, it will supply two things, okay. The posterior auricular muscle, it's the same name, so it makes sense. And as it go behind the ears, it will go through to the occipitofrontalis muscle, okay. But only the occipital belly of it, okay, not the whole muscle, because this muscle, it's from the behind the skull till the front of the skull. So no, it makes sense, okay. Okay, the second branch is the digastric nerve, okay, and it's the same name, so the same muscle, posterior belly of the digastric, okay, and the anterior belly of digastric, it's from the inferior alveolar nerve, okay, it's the branch of the mandibular nerve, okay, part of the trigeminal, okay, and the other one is stylohyoid muscle, okay. After that, it will go through the parotid gland, okay, and it will divide to two branches, okay, temporofacial and cervicofacial. Temporo, it's from the temporalis, so it will be the upper one, and the lower one, it's the cervical, from cervical, okay. The temporofacial will give you three branches: temporal, zygomatic, and buccal. And the cervicofacial will give us mandibular and cervical. And it's the five fingers, as you know, when you put it on your face, it's like that. Okay, back to this area here. So when the first the facial nerve go inside the internal auditory meatus, it gives the geniculate ganglia, okay, it's geniculate ganglia. Okay, and then from the geniculate ganglia, we get the greater petrosal nerve, okay, it's a nerve to the lacrimal gland, okay, and we get nerve to stapedius muscle, and this muscle is responsible for the balance, and we got the chorda tympani, and it's a very, very important nerve. So for the chorda tympani, it will join the lingual nerve, okay, and it will form a ganglia called submandibular ganglia, and immediately from this ganglia there is no nerve after. No, it's immediately from this ganglia it will supply the submandibular gland and the sublingual gland. So immediately from here will be the submandibular and sublingual gland, okay. So chorda tympani is the parasympathetic secretomotor secretion to sublingual and submandibular gland, and also the taste sensation for the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, okay. That's it. Let's do a very fast recap, okay. So the facial nerve, it's a motor nerve, okay. It will originate from the junction between the pons and medulla oblongata, okay. Then it will go inside the internal auditory meatus, okay. So it will leave the cranial fossa through the internal auditory meatus, okay. Then it will give the geniculate ganglia, okay, which will arise from it, the greater petrosal nerve, and this nerve is for the lacrimal gland. It's a preganglionic secretomotor to the lacrimal gland. Parasympathetic, preganglionic. Oh no. Parasympathetic, gangliotic, secretomotor to the lacrimal gland. Then we'll give a nerve to stapedius muscle, and this muscle is responsible for balance, and the chorda tympani, and as we said, it's a parasympathetic secretomotor to sublingual gland and the submandibular gland, and also taste sensation for the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and it joins the lingual nerve. Here, the submandibular ganglia, and it immediately gives the supply to the submandibular and sublingual glands without any nerve or something. Then it goes out the skull through the stylomastoid foramen. Okay, first it gives the posterior auricular nerve, which supply two muscles, posterior auricular muscle, the same name, and occipitofrontalis muscle, and we said it's only the occipital belly. Digastric nerve, and this is for the posterior belly of digastric. Anterior belly will be by the inferior alveolar nerve, which is part of mandibular nerve, which is part of the trigeminal nerve, and the stylohyoid muscle. Then it will give two branches when it meets the parotid gland. One is temporophageal and the other one is cervicophageal. Okay, temporophageal will give temporal, zygomatic, buccal, and the cervicophageal give mandibular and cervical. And that's it. Thank you.